G'day everyone. Welcome and sorry about today. Chris is away, so we decided instead of doing the Q&A for today, I'm going to go through a blood work example of a real client that I had recently and go through all the blood markers, and then we'll go through the symptoms of this person, and then afterwards I'm going to go through what I did for their protocol. So the way I'm going to do it is like it was a client. I'm just going to go through the blood markers, talk out in what I'm seeing in my head, pretending it's a brand new client, and what I'm thinking, all my thought processes, and then I'll tie that in all to the symptoms. And as I say, then we'll go through the protocol and exactly what I did for this client. And I know this client is going really, really well. So I thought it was a good example. So, um, I'm just going, I'm going to wing it a bit today. I haven't done too much planning, so we'll see how this goes. So sorry if some things just take a little while as I work out what I'm doing. Just need to work out how to share. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Um, One tick. Rightio. So, uh, okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Right. Um, okay, so this guy came to me with all kinds of symptoms. He had a bit of brain fog, constipation, terrible fatigue, um, had a history of using Accutane, um, and he was just feeling really, really terrible. He's just not digesting food on a really limited diet, a lot of gut inflammation. So, usually what happens with a client, I always go through their blood work first, to sort of not bias me too much when I go through it. I go through the symptoms in more detail afterwards, so I don't become biased to what I see. So, C-reactive protein at the top. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. So C-reactive protein at the top, that's in range. Immediately we have glucose. That's a little bit low. So we like that between 80 and 90. So when it's 72, it can mean that he fasted for a very long time before the blood test. Sometimes people do that. Um, but it also could be issues with glucose regulation, which could be an issue with stress, the adrenal gland, the liver, microbiome. A lot of things can affect glucose homeostasis or glucose regulation. Um, so, but the point is that if he is having those issues and his blood glucose is coming a little bit low, he'll get symptoms from that. He won't feel good. It's called reactive hypoglycemia. It's not diagnosable when it's only this at this level, but he'll symptomatically it's not optimal. So he won't feel good. So then urea slightly raised. Urea is formed from ammonia. So usually what people say is from the breakdown of protein that creates ammonia and then that goes into make urea. So from protein in the diet or protein in muscle that breaks down, that's the conventional thinking. But it can be made other ways. So with issues with the urea cycle, which could be from mitochondrial dysfunction or EMF, for example, or from ammonia from gut bacteria as well, particularly things like H. pylori. So with that being a little bit elevated, um, we keep that in the back of our mind. Creatinine's okay, uric acid's okay, calcium is a little bit high. So I should firstly say this blood test is from 2024, and we have one blood test from 2024 and one from 2025. So we'll go through all of them. So we've got calcium, which is a little bit high. Usually we like that, sort of more in the high eights. They're sort of in the nine range, really. Um, so when it's a little bit elevated, it's usually regulated by vitamin D, magnesium, or phosphorus. We can see on the blood marker below phosphorus is okay. So it's likely to do with an issue with magnesium and vitamin D off the top of my head. These other ones are okay, but then here we got globulin at 3. So to me, a globulin is a type of protein. It's found a lot of places in the body, but it's most abundantly a part of immunoglobulins, which is an immune cell. So, and a particularly immunoglobulin G. So when globulin's raised, it usually is a good indicator of immunoglobulin activity or immune activity. So usually a microbial or viral thing, right? So, yeah. Then we have cholesterol, which is okay, triglycerides, yeah, all that's okay. So that's our first part. Then, all right, so I need to go to this different blood work now. Um, okay, here we go. So, um, now we've got these liver enzymes and some electrolytes from 2024 too. So immediately off the bat, we see ALP's raised. So ALP is an enzyme that's found in the gallbladder, the biliary tract, and also the liver. But it's also found in you know, like bone and like it can be a sign of osteoporosis, bone breakdown, broken bone. It's found in the placenta, so people who are pregnant, it will raise. It also can raise from parasites too. But most of the time, it's going to be related to liver or gallbladder. So immediately when I see that in my head, I think I need to remember to ask this person if they have any issues with fat digestion because of bile issues with the gallbladder. And then also anything around their liver I can ask about, particularly like excess weight, fatty liver type stuff. AST and ALT are okay, but AST I'd say is at 22, I raised my eyebrow at it. Like that's not optimal, but it's not out of range per se. But I raised my eyebrow, and that could be a part of this whole ALP situation. I I usually say with AST and ALT, I like them under about 22 for men, 21 for women. But it's really context dependent. But here, 22, ALP's raised. I'm wondering now, I'm starting to think because ALT, AST, these are liver and gallbladder type things. So um, I'm wondering, does this person have a slight gallbladder obstruction, a little bit of cholestasis, like bile flow issues from the liver, or do they have a bit of a fatty liver issue? LDH is okay. Amylase is high, so pancreatic enzyme issue. Is this part of this wider issue with some kind of inflammation, fat in some of these organs? Fatty liver, there's something going on in the pancreas, so that's immediately in my head there. It could be from inflammation, endotoxins, but yeah. So is bilirubin's okay? We go down and then we go down to magnesium, and that's a little bit low. We like that 2.1 or higher. Absorption issues, oxidative stress, things like that, um, will be for low magnesium. And we got sodium and potassium. They're both okay. Okay, so let's get out of those ones. Now we're going to go into 2025. Um, right, where is this? Okay. Okay, hopefully that's come up on your screen. So ESR at the top, that is it's lower end ESR, but there's arguments about whether that's an issue. I don't look too much into it. White blood cells okay. And here we go to neutrophils 4.48. So to me that's elevated. I like it from 3 to 3.9. So anything over 4. Neutrophil is an immune cell that responds to infection, microbial issues, those type of things. So immediately I'm wondering about bacterial, fungal, viral infection when I see that. Most practitioners wouldn't even consider that high, but I definitely do. So lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, all okay. Basophils, okay. So all those white blood cells are okay except for the neutrophils. And we remember now in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, we did have globulin raised last year, and then already we've got neutrophils raised here. Um, yeah. So there's, inflammation, infection, microbial, viral, all in my head at the moment. Um, okay. Now, where are we up to? So we got red blood cell, which is high. We like that from 4.2 to 4.9. So if that's high, usually it's dehydration. People tend because they fast overnight, they wake up and because they're fasting, they don't drink much water in the morning. That's usually a dehydration thing, same as hemoglobin being slightly high there too. I like that from 145 to 155 with men, 4.2 to 4.9 with red blood cell in men. So both of them are high. It's consistent with dehydration. Um, yeah. So these other markers are okay. And the one I wanted to talk about next, so MCV is okay, right? 89. My range for that is about 84 to 89, but 89.9, that's probably okay. With MCV, I'm really looking for 91 and over for it to be an issue. So MCV is just the average volume of red blood cells. So we want them to be on average between whatever gives the calculation of 84 to about 89, in this case 89.9. So we think, okay, that's good. The volume of red blood cells is good because we don't want the volume to be too small and too big because it affects vascosity, blood flow, oxygen delivery, all of these things, right? So on the face of it, it looks okay. But if we go down to RDW, which is 13.2, which we want below 13%, so if it's 13.2, this tells us the following, because RDW is the at the width, the average width between the blood cells. So it means that if RDW goes higher, there's a bigger variation between the average width. So that's telling us, although the volume in MCV, the average is where we want it to be, it means they're not all consistent. Some are big, some are smaller, and that's giving us an average size of 89.9, if that makes sense. So what that tells me, because when red blood cells are made, they're made in the bone marrow by DNA synthesis, and when that process is faulty, they're immature and the red blood cells are bigger, so they have more volume. So what that tells me is there's an issue with that process, and that's why some are bigger or immature, and that's messing up the 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 volume, the average volume. Some are bigger, some are not as big. And why can that be? B12 anemia, B9 anemia, inflammation. So I've got all those things in the back of my head as we go on. So we keep going. Yeah, nothing really else to comment on that page. Um, that was pretty nuanced what I went through then, so hopefully everyone understands that, or that wasn't too technical. If it was, feel free to put some questions afterwards for anyone who wants to learn. Okay, so hopefully that's come up. So we've got some thyroid markers here on the top left, T3, it's in range. However, we got vitamin D here at 35.6 nmol. We like that at 120 plus nmol. So that is a severe deficiency. That's going to impact blood sugar regulation and all kinds of things. So that's a big problem. Um, yeah, immune function, you can get lower vitamin D from immune issues. You can get it from things like that, but certainly for it to be that low, there has to be a lot of sun avoidance in this gentleman. So that's going to be something that, think about a lot. Initially supplementation and then, really wanting to up the sun exposure. So his B12 is good, but his folic acid, folate is 7.5, which is pretty low. Um, it doesn't even tell me what units that's in. In one form of the units, that would be like super low, but in another one, it's a little bit low. So does it give me the units? No. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. It doesn't, but either way, whatever units that is, it's low. And as we were discussing MCV before in the red blood cell size, maybe the folic acid deficiency is contributing to that red blood cell issue, the volume of it. So worth considering. And why is that? It could be MTHFR issue. It could be a absorption issue, an intake issue. An absorption issue could be from gut issues, inflammation, bacterial, SIBO. So TSH, a little bit red. That next one is TSH. So we like that from 2 to 3. So his is 2.36. It can be from inflammation or, you know, thyroid issues, but most commonly it's to do with some kind of physiological or psychological stress. I'm not going to really do anything about it at 2.36. I'm just going to optimize the rest of the body and that should normalize. But you still note it. So here we've got glucose that's back in range. Sorry, on the right hand side. Now we've got glucose at 85, so that's in range. So improvement from last time. His urea's come slightly down, but still higher end. So we discussed that with the ammonia. Creatinine, uric acid, calcium is a little bit better, but still, I'm still a bit worried about it from the last reading and the low vitamin D. And then we got globulin at 3.3, so his immune activation's even worse. So, yeah, okay. And very last one. Okay, so we got ALP, which is in range now after his last one. AST, ALT in range. LDH is good. So his liver enzymes got better, right? Particularly ALP. So in my head, I will think now, it's not just I'll think, oh, that's got better. I'll actually actively go to ask him. I'll say, what did you do from 2024 to 2025? AST and ALT are ones that they might be elevated, and if they were normalized, I wouldn't think too much about it. But with ALP, that's different. If that's raised, that's either it's yeah, he's going to have to have done something to change that in my head. So I'll ask him. Or I did ask him and I found out the answer. Um, anyway, carrying on, iron is elevated 143.1. So that doesn't just necessarily mean iron overload. Like, yes, it can be iron overload, and it's a shame that we don't have all the other blood markers to put it in context. Um, so it's one of those things we'll want to check with the genetic disposition hemochromatosis with this gentleman, but also we'll want to understand, does he have a history? Did he fast for too long? Like if he fasts for over 12 hours and get up to 14 hours before the blood test, that can elevate iron. But also just inflammation and oxidative stress can cause a raise in iron as it mobilizes out of the cells due to the inflammation. So magnesium's still low. And here an interesting one, the sodium's a bit low and potassium's a bit high, the ratio. So they're both kind of in range, but the ratio where one's lower end, one's higher end, sometimes you see that with adrenal insufficiency. And why is that? Oxidative stress, inflammation, whatever. So he might feel a bit low and flat if that's the case. So in my head, when I'm seeing that, it's like, can we support that with something like vitamin C, black seed oil? These kind of antioxidants help with the adrenal gland. Okay, so um, I won't go through his full. I mean, maybe I'll do it briefly. How long have we been going for? Oh, it doesn't tell me. Should I go through all the symptoms? It might take a long while. Don't want to look. Yeah. No, I'll just go straight to his protocol and we'll just talk about his main symptoms. Just share his protocol. So yeah, hopefully everyone can see this. Um, so the issues I outlined from going through all of this was SIBO, dysbiosis. I have a question mark around mold, which I'm going to get to. Low folate, inflammation, immune activation. I've got a table here with everything I spoke about as I was going through everything. Really helps me as a practitioner to put that there so that when I do write a protocol, I can keep referring back to it to be like not just randomly picking supplements. So I'll look at the elevated iron. It's like, okay, what am I doing about that? Have I supported it? Doing that really helps improve protocols. Okay, so in terms of his symptoms, he had some acne, inflammation, fatigue, brain fog, had a long history of mold exposure, and he had really bad constipation, gut inflammation. He's 25. Um, he struggles with gluten, onion, garlic. He gets a lot of fatigue after eating. Um, so he came to me just, really struggling symptom wise. So I really sort of take that into account. I mean, this guy has a really limited diet. He's hardly eating any foods. He's eating the same ones every day, struggling at work, severe brain fog, just in a bad way. So that the reason that's relevant to me is not just diagnosing the issues, but it's also what I want to do with the diet. I'm going to be much more restrictive and limited in the diet when someone's really struggling, as opposed to when they have mild issues. This person, it's going to really help doing an elimination diet for his symptoms, and I wouldn't want to do that with anyone. But that's why I like all of that. But the thing that sticks out to me is that the constipation. I mean, that's usually going to be caused by bacteria, electrolyte issues, inflammation, thyroid. So for me, the thyroid markers weren't too bad. He's got inflammation, he's got maybe gut issues, microbial issues. Could it be the inflammation or could it be a microbial issue, particularly like M. smithii, which causes constipation? Could that be it? So in the back of my head, that's what I'm thinking about. Um, then the rest of it, like the inflammation, I'm thinking, okay, that needs to be supported with supplements and diet, elimination diet, brain fog, same. Then when I'm looking at gluten sensitivities, fruit causing issues, I'm just thinking gut lining's terrible. If you can't digest those things, gluten, particularly the gut lining, fruit, microbial and gut lining, sensitivity to onion and garlic, that those are FODMAPs, fruit oligosaccharides. Usually that's going to be a problem with negative gram bacteria. So, that's why, like, normally with this blood work, it's not super clear actually. Normally, it's a little bit more obvious in blood work what the issue is. Is it candida? Is it negative gram bacteria? But here we just know that there's immune activation, which could be viral or bacterial, and we know he's having all these um, inflammatory issues. Uh, and so the sensitivity to garlic and onion as a practitioner is what helps me place those symptoms, that blood work, where it's like, well, he does have these microbial issues in it appears with the infection, like the globulin and neutrophils. Because of the garlic and onion, now I'm thinking negative gram bacteria. Negative gram bacteria produces LPS, which is so inflammatory too. So, if he is getting all these inflammatory issues, brain fog, maybe that explains a lot of it. Maybe the SIBO explains the low folate. It's because it likes the bacteria likes accumulating the folate. So again, we've got a bit of a connection here. The thing is, he's had this long history of living with mold, and I always just have that in the back of my mind. Is it worth just throwing in a binder to support this guy? Um, so then he has dandruff, which could mean, even issues with candida or immune function, skin biome. Um, yeah, so when I synthesize all that, that's kind of how I got to the SIBO and dysbiosis. We've got you've got the immune cell markers and the sensitivity to garlic and onion. The mold, it's just a question mark because of how long he lived in it. It it's just very easy to throw in a couple of binders and see if he gets a response. Folate, well, that's going to come down to supplementation, immune issues. These are more a byproduct of what's going on in the gut. So now with all of that in mind, it's like, well, what am I going to do? It's like in my head, I'm thinking he's got a bacterial issue, a SIBO that needs supporting. Um, he's got probably inflammation, immune issues going on. Likely from this, he's got oxidative stress. We know he has some nutrient deficiency in folate and magnesium. Um, and we know he has constipation. So in my head, I'm like, designing a supplement protocol, all of those things need to be supported. And I know with this guy, because I'm always thinking, how extreme do I need to be? Can I get away with very, very few supplements, or do I need to use much more? For him, he's struggling so much, struggling to work, struggling to get through life. For him, I'm going to go a little bit more supplement heavy because of how bad his issues are. And also having a talk to him with his financial position, he wanted me to go hard just because he wanted me to do everything to make him feel better. Okay, so in that in mind, let's go through black seed oil. We're going to get benefits around oxidative stress, modulating the microbiome, glutathione. We're going to get benefits around the gut lining, brain function, uh, liver as well, because we had that history of liver function. And sorry, what I forgot to mention, my bad. So I checked with him and he had a history of fatty liver, but he went on a diet, and that's why we saw that change in liver enzymes from last year to this year. Anyway, so black seed oil, we're gonna that supports fatty liver, and even though he's recovered from fatty liver, he still might have some detoxing in there to go. So the black seed oil helps with all those things I mentioned. PEA is going to have benefits around inflammation, the gut lining, and particularly neural inflammation. Um, no brainer there. Boswellia, great for inflammation, has benefits around histamine and mast cells, immune activation, and it's a biofilm disruptor a little bit, so and helps with microbiome modulation. NAC, we're getting benefits around oxidative stress in the brain and glutathione. It's also got selenium and molybdenum there that are going to help with the liver and oxidative stress and stuff too. SBO probiotics, it's got a spore-based probiotic and a Saccharomyces boulardii. The spore-based one's going to help with negative gram-bacteria and its endotoxins. Saccharomyces boulardii helps with candida, fungal issues, the gut lining, um, gut motility, all of these things. So it's a great one as well to use. Um, then we've got magnesium glycinate, which is going to help with the low magnesium. Cod liver oil, DHA is going to help with the inflammation and um, sorry, and we're going to get benefits out of vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E in there as well. B complex, no brainer. It's going to help with the folate, and we always do that in a B complex. TUDCA to help with his liver and bile function, fat soluble vitamins. Um, Again, this is going to have benefits around everything. Lactoferrin with the unbound iron, the high iron in the blood, also benefits around modulating the gut bacteria. Magnesium citrate is going to help with the constipation. Ultimate GI repair, I almost wasn't going to put that in there, but I did just because of his inflammation so bad and he wanted to throw the kitchen sink out. So I could have left that out easily and just run the first phase with the other supplements, but he wanted to do everything. So we threw that in there because it's got the KPV, the BPC 157 and the lorazepam. We're going to get amazing benefits around the gut lining and reducing inflammation. And it's also got tributyrin, which is great for the gut lining too. So then we have an antimicrobial phase that is based on colloidal silver that's going to help with yeast and bacteria, and it's a biofilm disruptor. MCT oil helps with both, and it has biofilm disrupting properties. Allicin helps with both, but it's great for M. smithii, which usually causes constipation. And berberine, again, great for both. So we've done that for 8 weeks. We've and yeah, so that went really well with this guy. So it's based on his issues. I don't just copy this, it's because of what issues I think he has. So um, then hopefully that all made sense. So we've covered everything, right? We've we've now had this support phase to start for 4 weeks, but we run that for the whole time, 1 to 12. But we did a first phase, I should have said, for 4 weeks, which is just building up, reducing inflammation, improving liver function, improving oxidative stress. We're doing a little bit of support to the gut lining, the mucus barrier, Paneth cells. So the gut is in a better place when we do this first 4 weeks than we can see on the screen there. So we try to improve the status of the gut and the motility, get the constipation working better or removing that, nervous system working better, sleep working better, him feeling better, so that when we come time after 4 weeks to start the antimicrobial phase, he's in a much, much better place. Um, and I wouldn't have started the antimicrobial phase at week 4, after week 4, if the first phase hadn't gone well. It was critical that the first phase went well, and then it did, and then we felt comfortable doing that because we only do that when it's safe to do it. Okay, so that's how we structured the supplement plan. So we had a few things in there for nutrition therapy, low FODMAP, low sugar, low starch, avoid gluten, but I have it in much more detail here. So I've got all the foods that are kind of safe for him to eat. We'll go through the foods to avoid really: artificial sweeteners, seed oils, starch, high sugar, alcohol, high histamine, gluten, and then we got him to avoid the FODMAPs and the other inflammatory things like dairy, potatoes, lentils, nuts. He did that in that first 4 weeks. He felt heaps better, like 8 out of 10 better. And then we've gone through the antimicrobial phase, and that's going really well. And from there, now we've finished that, he's starting to introduce foods back in. He's back on FODMAPs. He's back on pretty much all food he's introducing back in now. So it's gone really, really well. He wasn't able to tolerate any of that food to begin with. So and then we have lifestyle factors like watching the sunrise, as much sun as possible, periods of high UV on the skin, darkness after sunset, blue light blockers. We've got some mindfulness techniques here for chronic stress. And then we have a little plan of how we want 3 to 4 gym workouts a week and a daily step count. So that's basically it. That's basically it. So I know I rushed through that a little bit because there's a lot to get through. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the comments.